All right. So, Stu, last night you were watching the 60 Minutes interview.
I did watch that, yes.
How was it?
It was not good.
Really?
There were a lot of different things. I much would have rather been watching football.
Okay.
So the couple things about it. Number one, it was pitched as a Kamala Harris interview. And it wasn't really that. You got some Kamala Harris, a bunch of Tim Walz, and then an excruciatingly long piece about whether the election in Arizona was stolen in 2020. We got 4 weeks until the election. Why? Again, like, you can absolutely make a case that what happened in 2020 in Arizona is important. Nothing can be done about it from now until the election. What's important now is the 2024 election. You get past 2024, you can start fixing problems you think exist in all these states once again, which should have been done, obviously, between 2020 and 2024. But there's just no relevance to this whatsoever at this point. But whatever, they're trying to make Donald Trump look bad. A lot of it was, tilted that way, including puff questions to Kamala Harris about, so why do you think Donald Trump didn't want to do this interview? Good, tough question, 60 Minutes. You really pushed her there. There were a couple of questions that were adversarial, I guess you could say. There was the typical, hey, you flip-flopped on 943 issues. Let me list 3 of them and let you give a generic answer about your principles haven't changed. That moment happened.
So let me play one. This is cut 3. This is her being pressed on her nomination. Listen to this.
Was democracy best served by President Biden stepping down and basically handing you a nomination? You didn't have to go through a primary process. You didn't have to fight off other contenders. That's not really the way our system was intended to work.
President Biden made a decision that I think history is going to show is rare among leaders, which was to put country before self.
Stop it. He didn't want him to do it.
I am proud to have earned the support
You
of the vast majority of delegates and to have been elected the Democratic nominee. I am proud to have received the endorsement of leaders around this country from every background and walk of life.
Nobody voted for you.
To fight in this election over the next month.
Please say there's a follow-up.
For our democracy.
But I think this truncated process is why people think or say they don't really know who you are.
Look, I've been in this race for 70 days.
Right. Yes, and nobody voted for you.
I mean, that's a fair question. You're right, though. The lack of follow-up is difficult.
Yes.
Right? Like, it's tough to take because they would sit on this and press on it and say, wait a minute, but you're saying you won the votes. You won the votes of the delegates after
correct
the sitting president endorsed you and you pushed everybody else out of the race.
And after you sat on the information that he was almost a vegetable for 4 years, 3.5 years, you said, trust me, I'm there with him. He is fine. And then we find out he's not. The night we find that out, you say it was just a bad night. He's fine.
Yep. You went on Anderson Cooper and said everything was fine. You see him behind closed doors. He's incredible. He's getting all these things done. He's dealing with these leaders in these amazing ways. She was lying after the debate about this.
Correct.
And still, we really haven't had her pressed on what the hell happened there. Why did you not tell people about this in advance? Why did you continue to lie after everyone else already knew?
So why didn't he ask that question? Cut 8, please. Here's Hillary Clinton.
If the platforms, whether it's Facebook or Twitter X or Instagram or TikTok, whatever they are, if they don't moderate and monitor the content, we lose total control. And it's not just the social and psychological effects, it's real harm.
It's real harm. So why wasn't the question pressed over and over again the way it would be done for anybody else? Cut 9, here's Tim Walz.
I think we need to push back on this. There's no guarantee to free speech on misinformation or hate speech, and especially around our democracy.
That's an incredible clip, largely because he then repeated it during the actual debate.
Yes.
That was 2022, that clip. He had multiple years. That clip went viral in between, and he still thought that there's, the hate speech is banned by the First Amendment, and that you can't say fire in a crowded theater. Things that anyone who studied this issue know immediately are wrong. And he knows nothing about them.
Why didn't CBS ask the tough question? Why is no one really pushing Kamala on FEMA and the response to this hurricane, which is devastating? I don't know. Cut 10.
And I think the dislike of and anguish over social media is just growing and growing and growing. And it's part of our problem, particularly in democracies. In terms of building consensus around any issue. It's really hard to govern today. You can't, there's no, the referees we used to have to determine what's a fact and what isn't a fact are kind of, been eviscerated to a certain degree. And people go and that people self-select where they go for their news or for their information. And then you just get into a vicious cycle. So it's really, really hard, much harder to build consensus today than at any time in the 45, 50 years I've been involved in this. And there's a lot of discussion now about how you curb those entities in order to guarantee that you're going to have, some accountability on facts, et cetera. But look, if people go to only one source and the source they go to is sick, and has an agenda, and they're putting out disinformation, our First Amendment stands as a major block to the ability to be able to just, hammer it out of existence.
Notice they are not talking about who the final arbiter is on mis and disinformation. The arbiter that they are asking for is them, that they will alert social media and everyone else. This is not true. This is true. Just like they did with the Hunter Biden laptop. This is not true. This is Russian disinformation. When they knew the truth, you're seeing what they want to do. They are telling you what they will do. Now, we have to choose.